Hi there grade 8s and welcome to WorksheetCloud Maths once again. Today is our last lesson in the series of Focus on Fractions, and it's Focus on Fraction 7. So we're going to carry on looking at percentages this time, but this time we're going to work out what percentage increase or decrease we have. So working out what percentage an amount has changed by, we often see that amount has gone up. So if you think about going to the shops, okay, you can see that a t-shirt that you saw last week was at one price, and when you go again 2 weeks later, it has increased in price. And sometimes it's interesting to work out what percentage they have increased that product by. So let's see. It says often we see that an amount has gone up or down. We are told by how much the amount has increased or decreased, but we do not know what percentage increase or decrease it is. And it doesn't only relate to something that you are buying. If you're working out how many people went to visit a place this year as opposed to last year, and then you can work out the difference and work out the percentage. But let's have a look at how we do this. Okay, so if we say there has been an increase from 20 to 25, what we would do is find out the difference first, as I said just now, find out the difference first, and then put it over the original amount, okay? So we'll go 25 minus 20, which is 5. Then we take the original amount of 20, like that, and we put the 5 over the top of it and find out what fraction that is of 100. Okay, so it's 5 over 20 of 100. Remember, a percentage is just like a fraction, so we would work it out exactly the same, and we know that the of is times, so it would be 5 over 20, or we could simplify it to a quarter times 100 over 1. If you wanted to leave it as 5 over 20, it would work out exactly the same, because then you just take your rules from fractions, multiplication of fractions, you multiply out the numerators, multiply the denominator, and get to the right answer. So a quarter of 100 would be 100 over 4, which would give us a 25% increase. So from 20 to 25, that's a 25% increase. So let's just go over it one more time. You take your big amount, subtract your smaller amount to find the difference. The difference would be 5. So what you could do is put that into a fraction straight away. Your big amount minus your small amount all over your initial amount. So your initial amount was 20. And we'll get back to that initial amount just now when we're looking at decreases. But for now, our initial amount is 20. And we've got 25 minus 20 over 20. It gives us 5 over 20. And we must find the fraction of that of 100, which will give us the percentage. So 5 over 20 times 100 over 1. We could be a quarter times 100 over 1. We're going to get 100 over 4, and 100 over 4 would give us 25%, because 4 goes into 100 25 times. Okay, let's look at another one. What is the percentage increase from 30 to 40? So we'd go 40 minus 30 all over the original amount of 30. Remember, the original amount is what it has increased from. Okay, so where we started. We started in 30, it increased to 40. We find the difference between those two, which is 10. And we've got 10 over 30. We can simplify that to 1 over 3, and we're timesing it by 100 over 1. Okay, 1 over 3 times 100 over 1. Remember, we're timesing by 100 over 1 because 100%. Okay, that timesing by 100 over 1 gives us a percentage. All right, so 1 over 3 times 100 over 1 gives us 100 over 3, and when we divide it will be 33,33%. In fact, it will be 33,33 recurring, which means that the 3 carries on, but we generally round off percent to the first decimal place or the second decimal place. Okay, here's one more together, and then you can try. So what is the percentage increase from 120 to 180? So we find the difference between the two by going 120 minus 180 all over 120 of 100. Remember, 100 is the full percentage. So we want to find out what that fraction of the full percentage is. Okay, everybody understand that? That's why we multiply by 100. Okay, so to find out the difference, it's 180 minus 120. we're going to end up with 60 over 120. I'm sure some of you can see that 6 over 12, which is a half, times 100. We can use 6 over 12. You can even use 60 times 100 all over 120 and use your calculator to work that out. Okay, so 6 times 100 is 600 all over 12. We divide that out and we get 50%. So 12 goes into 600 50 times. No matter which way you have worked it out, if you simplified it right down to a half of 100 we know is 50, so it is 50%. So from 120 to 180 would be a 50% increase. Okay, right, here's some for you to do. I want you to pause the video. I want you to try and work those out and then come back and we'll go over them together. Right, let's see how you did. Okay, so the percentage increase from 50 to 70 would be 70 minus 50 over our original amount of 50 of 100. Okay, so that's the fraction of 100, right? So it's 20 over 50 times by 100 over 1, which will be 2 over 5 times by 100 over 1. Like I said to you just now, you can times the 100 by 20 and then divide it by 50, whichever you think is easier. It will all work out the same. Okay, we'll end up with 200 over 5, and that gives me 40% because 5 goes into 200 40 times. Okay, not so bad. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Your percentage increase from 77 to 90. We're going to find the difference between the two over our original amount of 77. So 90 minus 77 all over 77 of 100. So it's 13 over 77 times 100. You can't really simplify anything there. So it's going to be 1,300 over 77. And we're going to get 16,88%. Okay, don't forget to use your calculator to try and work this out. And then round off to the second decimal place, or if you want to the first decimal place. If we had rounded this one off to the first decimal place, it would be 16,9. Okay, everyone happy? All right, let's go on to number 3. We have to find the percentage increase from 3 to 13. Okay, I'm going to explain to you how this works out right at the end, or why the answer is as it is. Okay, we're going to take our two amounts and find the difference. So it will be 13 minus 3 all over our original amount, which was 3 of 100. That gives me 10 over 3 times 100, which will give me 1,000 over 3. Okay, and that will give me 333,33 recurring actually percent. We're going to round it off, so it's 333,33%. And I'm sure you're going, but surely we can't have anything more than 100%. Well, all this tells us is that the percentage increase from 3 to 13 is more than 100%. If it was from 3 to 6, it would be 100% because we are actually doubling our original amount. Okay, so let's carry on. Don't be worried if it is over 100%. Please remember, look at the two differences. Okay, 3 to 13, it's increased, it's doubled itself, and then it's added on itself again. So it's actually gone up 300%. Okay, everybody understand that? So that is not an incorrect answer. If you got that answer and you were a little bit worried, don't stress about it at all. Okay, an increased percentage can be more than 100%. You can't decrease by more than 100% because then you're going to be into the negatives. Right. Okay, so let's look at number 4, 18 to 28. Well, if you have a look, 18 doubled is going to give me 36. So this is going to be less than 100%. Right, we take our two values. We find the difference. So 28 minus 18. Okay, all over our original amount of 18 and of 100. Okay, 28 minus 18 is 10. 10 over 18 of 100. We can simplify that, but we don't have to. So if you wanted to, it could be 5 over 9. And then you multiply it out, but we don't have to do that. 1,000 over 18, you can use your calculator, and you're going to get 55,56%. All right, everybody getting it? Okay, so what we can do here is go 55 is just over half. What's half of 18? It's 9. 9 plus 18 gives us 27. It's just over half. 28 is just over more than half. Okay, everybody happy? Number 5, percent increase from 120 to 300. Once again, you're going to subtract 300 minus 120 all over 120, which was our original amount of 100. 300 minus 120 is 180, all over 120 times by 100 over 1. There we can simplify. Okay, we're going to get 18 over 12, and now we can multiply out, or you can simplify further, whichever you would prefer. So we've got 1,800 all over 12, and you're going to end up with 150%. Now have a look here, guys. 120 doubled is 240. So we knew that this one was going to be more than 100%. Okay, right, let's carry on. Okay, what about finding the percentage decrease? Now, as I explained to you just now, when you find the percentage increase, an amount can increase by more than 100%. But it can't decrease by more than 100% because, like I say, if, say, for example, a car price decreased by more than 100%, then the person who you're buying the car from is going to pay you an amount of money, and that's not really going to work too well in business. Or, for example, if you say that a school class decreases by more than 100%, you're not really going to have anybody in the class. In fact, you're going to have negative people, and you can't really do that. Okay. So let's see how we work out a percentage decrease. Okay, so if we got a decrease from 15 to 5, we are going to go 15 minus 5 over 15 of 100. So it works in exactly the same way. You'll just see that your original amount at the bottom is always your first amount when we are decreasing. Okay. Whereas when we are increasing, your original amount is not the first amount on the top. It's not your first amount on your numerator. So 15 minus 5 is going to give me 10 over 15 times 100 over 1. Again, you can simplify, or you can merely just multiply out. Okay, 1,000 over 15. Use your calculator to calculate that out, and you're going to end up with 66,67. Okay, it's going to be 66,66 recurring, but again, you're going to round off to the second decimal place. All right, you can also round off to the first decimal place, in which case this would have been 66,7. Okay, let's have a look at another one. A decrease from 200 to 50. So on the top, straight away, you're going to go 200 minus 50, and then take that amount as being your denominator. So there we go, 200 minus 50 over 200 of 100. You're going to get 150 over 200, times 100. Again, you can simplify, or you can just multiply straight out. It really doesn't matter. If you simplified, you could simplify across there. You could cross cancel, and you could get 150 over 2. Or you can multiply out, or you can simplify this way, whatever makes you comfortable. Okay, so I've gone 15 over 20 times 100 over 1, and that is going to give me 1,500 over 20, which is actually 150 over 2 anyway, and that is going to give me 75%. So I decreased 200 by 75% to give me 50. Okay, if you were the other way, if you were finding out the increase from 50 to 200, that would be over 100%. It's not going to work out to 75%. Okay, right, let's have a look. You try these. There's just 2 there because I think you've got the routine now. Pause the video, try those 2, and then when we come back, we'll go over them. Right, let's see how you did. Okay, we've got a decrease from 70 to 35. So 70 minus 35 all over our original amount of 70 times by 100 over 1, which gives us 35 over 70 times 100 over 1. Some of you will have seen that 35 over 70 is a half, but if you haven't, you can multiply out 35 times 100. It's going to give you 3,500 over 70. Okay. If you did see it was a half, you can go half times 100, and we know that 100 over 2 will give us 50%. Everybody happy? Let's have a look at the second one. A decrease from 180 to 110. we're going to go 180 minus 110 all over 180 of 100. Okay, that sounds so silly saying of 100 each time, but that's what we're trying to find out. We're trying to find out the fraction of 100, which will give us a percent. Okay, so we've got 70 over 180 times 180 over 1. And we're going to end up with 17 over 18 times 100 over 1. It will give us 700 over 18. Divide that out using your calculator. You're going to end up with 38,89. Okay, right, now here are some problems that we can solve. A jersey that costs 250 is marked down to 225. What is the percentage discount? Okay, so we've got to figure out, we're going to find out the percentage discount because it has been decreased. So 250 minus 250 minus 225 all over 250 of 100. We're going to get 25 over 250 times 100 over 1. That will give me 1 over 10, because actually I can see that 25 goes into 250 10 times. Otherwise, like I said just now, just multiply out. 25 times 100 gives you 2,500. Okay, and that's over 250. Right, and then you can cancel out, or you can just use your calculator to divide. So we've got 1 over 10 times 100 over 1. That's 100 over 10, and that gives me 10%. Right, let's look at our next problem. So the discount, there would be 10%. Okay, so 10% from 250 would give me 225. So you can see that 25 would be 10% of 250. Subtract that from 250 and your jersey now costs you 225 Rand. Okay, right, so here's another problem to solve. Due to inflation, the price of a car has increased from 250,000 Rand to 285,000 Rand. What is the percentage increase? Okay, so now we're looking at an increase. We have to take the bigger amount, subtract the smaller amount, but put our original amount, which is 250,000, at the bottom, okay, as our denominator. So 285,000 minus 250,000 is going to give me 35,000 all over 250,000 times by 100 over 1. You can do a whole lot of cancelling there because those two noughts go into those two noughts, okay? Cancel out your tens. You're going to get 35 over 250 times by 100 over 1. Multiply out 3,500 over 250, and you're going to end up with 14%. Okay, so the price has increased by 14%. Everybody happy with that? Okay, remember guys, if you're not happy with anything or you don't understand anything, either rewind the video and start again, or send your query or your question to grade8@worksheetcloud.com and somebody will answer your question for you. Right, it's your turn. Here's the problem. Okay, I want you to pause the video, and then when we come back we'll go over it, and then we'll read it together as well. So pause the video, you try and work it out, and then let's see how you did. Right, how did you do? Right, it says the number of children in a school has increased from 653 to 720. What is the percentage increase of children in the school? So you take your two amounts and find the difference. It would be 720 minus 653, and that's all over your original amount because you're finding the increase, all over 653 of 100. Okay, so it would be 67 over 653 times 100 over 1, and you would just multiply out 67 times 100, 6,700, times 600, all over 653. Divide out using your calculator, and you get a 10,26% increase. Now you're probably going, why on earth would you want to find this out? Well, if you were running a school, you would want to see how well it's doing, and you would want to see the percentage increase as your school is growing. Or, as it is now, with all this nonsense going on with the COVID-19, and schools may lose some children, and so they would want to know the percentage decrease. Okay, so there you can see the percentage increase in this score was 10,26. Right, guys, thank you for watching this lesson, and I hope to see you next time. Remember, this was the last lesson in our focus on fractions, and we're going to be going on to decimals in the next series of lessons. So please join me for that, because decimals are just another form of fraction. Thank you for listening today. Keep well, and I'll see you next time.